So I grew up in Torres Prison in Beach Haven. Ended up making the Northern Territory, like the state rep team for the under-19s and the premiers at 18. The Broncos on the Gold Coast talked to me about going to play for them. It was the ARL first, and then it changed to the NRL. Pulled in my street, and there's about 20 cops all piling over my gate. You're all over the news, armed and dangerous. And it's amazing how much community help there is out there too that actually want to see us do well. And the best kind of leaders are leaders that have walked the walk.
Young soldier of God, steady march, steady march.
Dear Heavenly Father, please watch over me and the brother here and speak through us and watch over everybody watching, please, Father. In Jesus' almighty and precious name, amen.
Amen.
All right, my brother. So what's your name and where are you from?
Kia ora, bro. So my name is Christopher Nahi. Chris Nahi, and I'm from, I hail from a place called Beach Haven in Auckland. I'm currently living in Whangarei at the moment. Yeah.
Oh man, Chris, brother, thank you so much for taking time to jump on the show, bro, out of your busy schedule, man. How's your day going over there, brother? How's the weather?
Yeah. The weather up here in Whangarei is the sun's out, but we're still having showers. So,
yeah, man. Wet weather over here in Auckland too, my brother. But again, man, thanks for jumping on the show. So this is Chris Nahi here. Like you said, man, originally from Beach Haven, which is where I'm living at now, man. So he's local and he's up north as well. So man, awesome story that this bloke has got. He's currently he started Victory House here in New Zealand, which is like a rehabilitation house for drug rehabilitation up in the north there. So that's a project that he started here in New Zealand, but was something that he actually went through, a program he went through over in Australia. So the brother's actually lived over in Australia. He was actually sent back, like myself, here to New Zealand. So he's actually walked the path himself. So God's led him to work in the circles that he was once wheeling and dealing in and things like that. So he's originally from Beach Haven, played professional rugby league over there. So he was into his good footy player. Took him over there to Australia. But unfortunately, there's a bit of a dark side to that life too, I hear, and which Chris will go into, a bit of a drug and party scene involved in that life, which not many people have insight into, but the brother Chris here does. So again, brother, thanks for jumping on the show, my bro. And like I just said before, he's from Beach Haven, man. So he's an original Valley boy. Brother, how was it, man? How was it back in Beach Haven, bro, growing up? So that's where the story begins, eh, brother?
Yeah. So I grew up in Torres Prison in Beach Haven. Back then we used to, we grew up playing on the streets and playing in the bush and the mud and playing touch football. And when the lights came on, it was time to head home. Those were the days that we were playing in. We also got up to heaps of mischief as well, smoking weed, doing burgs and stealing cars and stuff like that. We were all mischief kids. But a lot of our mates from other streets would just come and we'll just meet up at Lysander Shops across the road. There was a church there, had a basketball courts. We used to go up there and play basketball. We used to all meet up at Brickdale College and play touch on the weekends. We had some good times.
Man, so how did that sort of, progress for you, brother? So, was schooling important, bro? Like in your family home, brother, was schooling important and sports and things like that? Did that play a big part of it?
Yeah, so I grew up in a fatherless home, but our mum always made sure that we got to school, had to go to school. We were playing sports, and I found that playing rugby league actually helped me with my anger issues. Be able to go out on the field and just run rampant, without getting in trouble. So I love playing rugby league. Yeah, and that's where it all started. But yeah, fatherless home. And a lot of parties going on around us and stuff like that, but our mum always made sure that we did go to school.
So bro, from there, man, so I read that you ended up playing for Northcote, wasn't it, man? So you ended up going over there, so you would have been with some big Islander boys, hey brother, back then.
So I was like 16, 17, and I was playing under 21s with my brother at Northcote, and the under 21s comp in Auckland was really strong. Like when you were playing teams, like had a growing spirit. That's why I jumped in with my older brother in that. But it was pretty hectic when you ran out on the field against Richmond and Otahu and it was just all Islanders, and big boys with big legs. So I had a good apprenticeship playing league in Auckland. With North Cape. So,
were any other well-known names, bro, that you were playing with, that you were coming up with back then?
So Gene Namu, he was around back then. When I was playing, our prems had like Sean Hoppy and all them got sort of guys playing. Stewie Galbraith, they had a really strong premiership side, but not really in my own grade. We had some good players though. Like there's a lot of good players here in New Zealand that don't get recognised. It's who you know. Like I never made no Auckland rep sides or junior Kiwis and stuff. But when I went to Australia, I was able to make it into the NRL, and that just goes to show that. And I wasn't even the best player in our team when we were growing up. I would have been in the top 5 players, but there were some awesome players when I was growing up.
Oh wow! Wow. So it's who you know. How that's how you sort of rising up the ranks here in New Zealand.
Yeah, bro.
So well, I mean, so how old were you when you ended up going to? Oh, well, you ended up moving up north, brother. So you went up there.
Yeah, I was getting in trouble in Auckland, playing for Portland in Whangarei, and my coach was friends with a coach in Alice Springs in Australia, and they were looking for some young centres. I was playing centres back then. After a couple of centres, so me and my centre partner from Portland, we went over to Australia. I'd heard of Alice Springs, but I didn't know it was in the middle of the desert. It was like when I got there, I was like, fuck, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, bro. That's the middle of nowhere there.
Yeah. It was a really good experience, but it was really good because when I got to play over there and I ran out on the field and the other team ran out and I looked across, bro, there was no big Islanders across the other side of the paddock from me. So it was just made me feel even better. I was just kept on running hard and made it into the NRL through that experience.
Wow. So so then how did that lead into the NRL, brother? And how did that sort of progress, man? What was your family thinking at that time, bro? Mum must have been pretty proud. And
so when I went to Alice and I was 18, I made it into the Alice Springs under 19 side, and then also made it into the Alice Springs Premiers, the A grade side as well. And then we went into the Nationals, and I played in the ended up making the Northern Territory, like the state rep team for the under 19s and the Premiers at 18. And then I ended up playing in the Australian Schoolboys comp. And through there, I had a really good tournament, and I had Newcastle, the Broncos, and the Gold Coast talk to me about going to play for them. We got flown to each of their clubs and had a look around and stuff. But when I got to the Gold Coast, I was just like, oh, wow, check this place out. Look at these buildings. Look at these beaches. Look at these beaches. So I decided to go to the Gold Coast, and that's where the journey began.
So was it known as the NRL at that time, bro? Or was that just before?
It was ARL first, and then the Super League war kicked in for 2 years, a couple of years, and then it changed to the NRL from there.
Okay, so you ended up going to the Gold Coast. So, I mean, up till this point, bro, was alcohol and drugs at all involved, bro? Or was that just sort of a weekend thing or once in a blue moon type thing? Or
drinking's part of rugby league all the way through all the clubs since I was a young fella. In New Zealand, there was drinking and smoking weed. When you get over to Australia, it was in the lower grades, it was drinking and smoking weed, and then as you progressed into the NRL and stuff like that, it was more Class A drugs and a lot of drinking. But because you train so hard, like if you were playing on a Friday, you train hard, you play hard, you go out, you drink, you get on the drugs. Come Monday, it's out of your system, and you're good to go again. Yeah. The clubs are all part of it. You go to nightclubs, you're getting drink cards and stuff like that as well. So yeah, and then you're getting invited to after parties and day parties and more day parties.
Yep. So I guess, while you're playing, and obviously excelling, I guess when did it start sort of spiraling sort of, out of control, I guess you could say?
So I went to the Gold Coast and played there started there in 95, a few games. 96 I was playing, 97 about halfway to 2/3 way through 97 is when I started hitting the drugs even harder. And I had a really good year that year too. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah, I made the rest of the world side. Like in the off season, I was training with a couple of mates of mine, and they were on the steroids, and I was just going natural, and I was just going hard, trying to keep up with them. Man, it was really good. They'd be in the gym grunting and all this, making noises and stuff, but I was just pushed myself as hard as I could. But from that training is how I ended up having a really good 97. By 98, the drugs had really started taking a hold, and yeah, it started affecting my game.
Oh, darn. So how was it affecting your game, bro? Like,
I was getting pumped. I was running the ball up instead of me running the ball up and bending the line. I was running the ball up and getting bent. Plus, we didn't have a really good year that year as well. And yeah, your performance is a reflection of your performance comes through your team as well. Like it is an individual thing, but if your team is playing well, it really improves your game as well. Yeah, I missed one training and I got dropped to the bench. So yeah, no, they take that stuff seriously.
yeah. So then I guess, so where did it progress from there, brother?
So from there, I dropped down and I started playing in the Queensland Cup, which is like a feeder comp to the NRL, and then I started selling drugs because I had the hookups from the other guys that I was partying with. So the hunger for money was still there because I'm not getting the big bucks anymore. So yeah, I started dealing, started buying 100 pills at a time and stuff like that, and just partying and selling. Playing in the Queensland Cup. I was still playing really, really quite well. I wasn't injured or anything like that. I made it into the New Zealand Māoris World Cup team in 2000. I think I was actually running around when I was doing my hit-ups. I was just playing out of anger, like, what am I doing in this comp type of thing? But yeah, I came home one day and the cops were right behind me in the driveway. Got raided, usual scenario, and then I went to go and play a Queensland Cup game. Got told you can't play. The sponsors don't want you to play. We're coming up for a grand final. I was playing for Burleigh Bears then. We were looking at a grand final against the Redcliffe Dolphins, and during that season, twice I played in a game and we played them and we smoked them. I left training, shamed out, didn't go back. The boys didn't go well in that grand final, and yeah, I just gave the footy a miss for a while and just started selling drugs.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess so. But once you got raided that first time, the sponsors were started to step away from you, was it? I mean, like what? Yeah. So your drug use was continuing as well, bro. So was this like meth, bro? Like things like that?
No, I was into coke and ecstasy. Around 2003 is when I started. 2003, I started smoking coke, crack, for a few years, and then I moved on to meth after that.
Well, so
that took me on a 15-year journey of walking in that dark place.
Yeah. So I guess, so after that first time you got raided, brother, so you've continued dealing, you've continued selling. So how did that sort of progress into jail, bro, and ending up in there?
So another time I came home, pulled in my street, and there's about 20 cops all piling over my gate. So I went the other way, jumped out of the car, legged it through a recycling place, and there was a truck leaving. So I jumped in the passenger side door, told the driver, I was holding my shoulder, told the driver that there's some guys with baseball bats chasing me. He drove me out of there across the highway over to Merrimack, on the Gold Coast where there was some bushland. I jumped out, I legged it into the bush, and that was 6 a.m, and I came out of there about 8 at night. I went to a mate's place and he said, you're all over the news, armed and dangerous, closing down schools and stuff like that. So I went on the run, just ducking and weaving. I was fried, and 2 weeks later I handed myself in.
Okay.
yeah, I ended up getting done for the 1,000 pills, handgun, deprivation of liberty because I got that lift for the truck driver. So they said I kidnapped him, and yeah, did got given 3.5 years. Ended up serving 18.5 months from that one. It was just trying to survival mode, trying to make money, and when you're in that drug scene, guns are all part of the drug scene because people are trying to roll each other, and yeah, I just wanted to keep myself safe. I was actually delusional. You know, you get the delusional thing like you're all good, like, oh, yeah, I've got this all under control. I'm never going to get busted. I've got everything under control. Far from it.
Yeah. Crazy delusional mindset, isn't it, bro? In hindsight, just crazy some of the things you think you can get away with in that life, bro. It's insanity, really, when you really look back on it. Well, so man, so how was it entering into the prison system over in Queensland, brother? I heard that's no walk in the park there. So how was that for you, entering the courthouse and the watch house, I think they called it in Brisbane, and all of that sort of stuff? How was that walking in there? Obviously coming off drugs as well.
Yeah. When you first go in, it's quite freaky. Actually, you're like freaking out, like, oh no, and could be having fights and bikies and gangsters and all this. But actually, by the time I got there, I knew a couple of people in there, and if you get on the news, because I was on the news for like the whole 2 weeks that I was on the run. If you get on the news and you go into the jail system, everyone's sort of like, "Oh wow, bro, you're awesome, man! You duck and weave for so long. You did this, you did that." So it sort of like starts feeding your ego, and once your ego starts getting fed, you start getting comfortable in that scene and that. So yeah, I got pretty comfortable with that. Yeah, it's silly.
Did you sort of stay out of the politics in there, bro? Did you sort of, well, like, what was your mindset, bro, going into prison? Was it sort of like, well, I'm going to get out of here, sort of make some connections, or was it, how was it for you in there?
I don't know what I was going to do when I got out. But when you're in there, it's a breeding ground for gangsters and drug addicts. You get in there, everyone's done this, everyone does that, everyone rolls this way, that way. When you come out, you got a whole heap of numbers to call and stuff like that. Some of them are drop kicks, but some of them are the real deal. Yeah, I thought I'll get out of there and I'll go home. Everything's going to be all sweet because I was married at the time.
Okay.
I was delusional again. I got out and went straight, like a dog going back to its spew. I just went straight back to what I was doing before, and then I was on parole, so I had 3 or 4 return to jails, dirty urines and stuff like that.
Yeah, so the spiral of darkness just kept like a whirlwind pretty much in it, brother, once you're stuck into that. And then like you said, multiple parole breaches. So now you're in and out, you know what I mean, sort of stuck in that cycle. Well, how did it sort of progress from there, brother?
Yeah, so you get out, you breach, you go back in, you do a 3 or 4 month stint, you come back out, things like that were happening. And then there's the other little mishaps along the way as well, because once you go into jail, it's only really easy to go back in. Like you can get caught with like, a couple of empty bags or whatever in a pipe, and next thing you know, you're back in there for another 3 months. It didn't take long before some of those were catching up on me as well. I started playing footy again in 2012, 2011. So just trying to do something different, and then I was working doing roof tiling.
Oh, okay.
But I was still smoking that crap.
Yeah. It goes in stages, doesn't it? Especially coming from that. I mean, it's just so evil, that stuff, bro. The meth, man, it's just the worst thing ever, man. Once you're on that, bro, it's just it gets very dark spiritually as well, man. It just eats away at the soul. Sometimes, I don't want to say irreversibly, because through Jesus, you know what I mean, we can always get that soul back. But a lot of people, you see wandering around, and it's a monster. It's a monster of a demon, that myth. So I mean, so you started to clean up a little bit, bro. Well, what about your so Victory House, the things you're doing now, it is faith-based. It is based around Jesus, around the faith. So what were your interactions with the church and with Jesus, bro? Like coming up, was that part of your life coming up, bro, when you were young, or?
So when I was young, I do remember a couple of memories of our mother taking us to church down in Northcote. I remember us going there a few times, but yeah, no real church interaction. So for me, that all started with my brother, who's a pastor of a church in Australia on the Gold Coast. So he opened a rehabilitation program off his church called Victory House. He'd asked me to join the program when he first opened it up, and he said, "Bro, I'm opening a rehab, bro. We're good to have some house leaders and stuff like that." But I remember him coming around. I was smoking some weed, and I actually just got off everything. I had no more in the system. I had no more parole, no more nothing over my head or anything. And I just remember I said to him, I said, "Bro, I'm actually enjoying my drinking at the moment. That's where I was at, just smoking weed and that other crap." It took a couple more times for me to go into jail. And then I was in jail, and I was like, had a real good think about things, and had a revelation, and I was like, man, and I was in my cell crying, and I was looking at the roof, and I was like, man, is this all I'm gonna be? Is this it? And then I felt this presence come into my jail cell, and this voice inside me telling me, just follow me, and I'll restore you. But I left. That was in 2016. I left jail. In 2017, and I have never I've touched no more meth. It's like a spiritual revival in that jail cell that night. I got released. A month later, I got released from the courthouse in Southport, and I walked down to Broadbeach to my mate's place, and they were smoking crack and drinking beers and stuff. And I just said, man, I need to have a shower, bro. And then I had a sleep, and 2:00 in the morning, I had a dream, and I had my jail Bible in front of me, and this voice in the background, and on my Bible on one page, the words drugs and alcohol were on the top of the page, and on the other side it said sexual immoralities. These are the things to stay away from. These are the things to stay away from. This is at 2 a.m. I go downstairs, and my mate's reckon to me later on when I'm clean, he goes, bro, when you came downstairs, your eyes were beaming. He said, I know what I need to do, bro. I know what I need to do. And I go, I know what I need to do, bro. At 6:00, I chose 6:00 because I didn't want to be rude to my brother. I said, 6:00, I'm going to call my brother, bro, and I'm going to go into the rehab. I wanted to get away from all of them and put myself around people that are on the same journey. And that's where my recovery of rehabilitation started, was at Victory House on the Gold Coast.
Man, he comes into those dark places, doesn't he, though? That's where he finds us, man. I mean, I had a similar experience, brother, in that jail cell, man, looking around, and then you just feel the hand of God, man, and it changes you. You know what I mean? And then that's when you realize that there's a greater purpose, So well, man, that would have been a blessing, bro, having your brother there, just to be able to, sort of enter into Victory House. How was that, man, going into rehab?
So when I went into the rehab, later on, even guys said to me, when you turned up, bro, your hair was all a mess. You had hardly any teeth in that. And they heard all these stories about Dave's brother that was the rugby league player. And they said to me, bro, when you walked in, we were like, holy heck, check this fellow out. But it was all new to me. Accountability was a big thing in that program. And I found that hard. People keeping me accountable for everything I said and did. But it was what I needed to change behaviors, because, you can get clean sitting in a jail cell, but if you don't deal with those behaviors, when you get out, as soon as something goes pear-shaped, you just go back to what you know. And that program gave me the tools and taught me how to be assertive instead of when you have conflict with people, instead of abusing them, it teaches you how to communicate properly with them. So I've been on a journey with that. I was there for most of the program. Coming towards the end, immigration come looking for me. So the old me would have just done the runner, but the new me, the new mindset was like, if God was for me, who can be against me? So I did the use, but old behaviour. I packed the bag with the toiletries and everything, and presented myself at the immigration office in Brisbane. And next thing I know, I'm locked up at the Beta immigration centre near the airport. I was there for 3 weeks, and then they shipped me off to Yonga Hill. And I spent about 3.5 months there.
Oh, yep. So they shipped you over to Perth.
Yeah,
So how was that, man? And how were you feeling at that time, bro?
yeah. At first, I was a bit dirty on the whole thing because but my new way of thinking was, man, there's a lesson here because my old way of thinking was, if I was trying to pray to God and then he wasn't going to turn up or help me or anything, I was like, yeah, bugger you. But now my new way of thinking was, there's a lesson here, there's something here for me. So when I got to Yonge Hill, I went in search of the Christian brothers, like, oh yeah, these fellas have a church service here, and I found it too. There were guys from a lot of different nations that were in that church service, so I just started attending that, and then the Lord put it on my heart to share. Like the brother from South Africa, he was leaving, and he says, "Oh, it's my last week. I'm just be sharing." So after that sermon, I said, "Man, I'll jump up next week and share." So yeah, I just shared about forgiveness and salvation in my first service, and they didn't do an altar call, so I got a hold of my brother. I said, "Bro, can you give me the details on how you do an altar call, bro? Because they didn't do one here. I want to do one." So I shared my story and did an altar call. 15 fellows in the room, and 12 of them put their hand up for the Lord. Yeah, come on.
Wow.
Yeah, that was really good. My brother and they were trying to fight the legal system for me to stay, but I just like, yeah, I'm ready. I'll just go home and see what happens from there.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. So you signed the papers to come back, was it?
yeah, yeah. So I got deported from there in October 2017, and yeah, didn't know what I was going to do when I came home. Uh, I had some revelations when I was back here. Now that I run Victory House, of different pastors that were prophesying over me. Like I'm in church, and they're going, "Oh yeah, you stand up. Yeah, yeah, you're going to be a fisherman of men. You've been through the fire. You've been to Egypt and all that." I'm going, "What's this talking about?" Now registers will be you're going to be a fisher of men. And so when they were talking about it, it was like, oh yeah, Egypt is slavery. So not going back to jail. Been through the fire. Yeah, I've been through that valley of darkness, smoking that crap for 15 years, and fisher of men. Yep, yep. So yeah, I got a hold of my brother when I was back here, and I said, yeah, bro, I know what I want to do. I want to open a victory house here in New Zealand, and that was the start of it. And a couple of months after I got back in 2017, by 2018, November the 23rd, I was able to open Victory House here in New Zealand.
Wow, incredible, brother! In such a short amount of time, man, being able
Yeah,
to achieve that, man. With the
yeah,
spirit, bro. With the spirit with you, man.
yeah,
He does all the work, man. We just need to hold his hand and walk along with him, isn't it, brother?
yeah, 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 exactly, bro. Like everything here is none of it's mine. It's all his. It's all through him, and it's amazing how much community help there is out there too that actually want to see us do well. Like you go to church and you see people happy. I used to think, oh, what's up with these kids? What are they so happy about? They're happy to see us happy. It's not a fake, like from where we came from. When someone was up to something or they had that smile and they was like, oh, yeah, sure, bro, what are you up to? What do you actually want? Well, these people, they don't want nothing but to see us do well. And it's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy, brother. I mean, even me, man, when I used to see some of those street preachers when I was, on the streets and, they're always around handing food and this and that. And
Yeah,
you just trip out on how happy they are, brother? You
yeah,
know what I mean? And you just think, man, what's wrong with these people,
yeah,
man?
yeah,
But it's like now we're like that, bro. It's
yeah, yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, we're like that.
It's insane, bro.
Well,
So, well, bro, can you sort of explain what Victory House is, bro, and sort of what you guys are providing up north there, and what sort of led you to do it up north, bro?
yeah. So first of all, what led me to do it up north here was this is where my farm is from. Our homestead is up here, and the reason why I was open Victory House up here was because I seen a lot of my whānau are in addiction as well. So I wanted to help them out as well. Still waiting for them, but hey, we're here. So Victory House is a minimum of 12-month program, and we say a minimum of 12 months because there's no moving through this program unless we're seeing change. Um, we're a faith-based program, so we go to church services and we do Bible studies every day. Our church services that we go to Salvation Army Recovery Church on a Friday night. It's like an NA Narcotics Anonymous church on Fridays, and then we're planted in Arise Church on Sunday. We're also a activity and working program. So for 3 days a week, our guys go out and do mahi over in the gardens up here in Whangarei. We go out and do community work, mow lawns, do different projects. If I get guys that come in with different skill sets, I'll find a job project that we can do with that, and other guys can learn off him as well. Because what we're trying to achieve there is we want guys to come into a program and get work ready. You know, there's no use going into a program, sitting around doing groups and counselling and singing kumbaya, and then at the end of it you leave and it's like, oh, can you work for 40 hours a week? And they can't even. So that's our activity and working side. We're not funded by government or anything like that. So we cut firewood as well to fundraise for the program so that we can take these guys out paintballing and movies and just show them life, you know, get their whānau involved as well. The program is a 4-stage program, about 12 weeks in each stage. And we also have a in-house counsellor, and also get our guys to engage in different courses through the DHB. They do the early relapse prevention course and the Matrix course. We also do courses through the Salvation Army, Making Changes course, and stuff like that. Because I want them, for me, recovery is about a jigsaw puzzle of life that we're trying to put back together. And when you come to the table, you actually bring some pieces with you to that table, and you put those pieces on the board to start with. And all of these other things, you can take things like, not everyone's going to get something out of counselling, but there might be something you can take from that and put it on your jigsaw puzzle. Maybe something out of these other courses, something from the mahi and everything else, so you can make this jigsaw puzzle. So when the program finishes, you're ready for the world, because it's not a nice place out there. The referral process is that the person wanting to come into the program needs to call me themselves on my phone number, 0204 157 3590, and that's done on a Monday, whether they're in the community or from jail. If they're in jail, they just talk to the unit officer, let them know that I've got an assessment to do. We're not a halfway house, and we're not a accommodation, so anyone that's just looking for somewhere to kick back and put their feet up and watch TV, you need to find another program. It's hands-on here. Accountability is another big thing in our program. So there's about 170 rules in our program. Eight of them will get people kicked out. We run a strict and structured program, so things like using, stealing, threats of violence, all those basic things are safety rules. If you break those, you're out of here. The other ones are just there to fine-tune your behaviours, you know, because we are dealing with the liars, the manipulators, the robbers, the thieves, and these are behaviours that you can't just expect to go away straight away. That's why our program is a minimum of 12 months, because these mindsets have been built into us for a long time, and it takes time for them to change. People that we take in the program are, we've had some 501s in here. We've had people from the community, people with mental health issues. We've had guys here that couldn't get into other programs because of their conditions and stuff like that. We'll give anyone a chance. The only people we don't take in our program is we don't take sex offenders, and we don't take arsonists. Everything else is a case by case, and it's run past our board. That's pretty much our program. Yeah.
Wow, brother, that is incredible, man. Bro, much respect, man, for what you're doing up there in that sort of mahi, bro. I just love hearing about that sort of stuff, man. It's awesome, bro. Like, oh well, first of all, you know, if you do want to get into contact with the brother here, I will leave his contact details in the description and in the bio. Definitely reach out, you know, if you know anyone that could benefit, you know, from this sort of program, which a lot of people could. Brother, how was it for you, man? You know, when you first started doing this, bro, you know, like when you started Victory House, coming from where you've come from, brother, how was that for you, man? Was it a bit of a struggle, or was it just all spirit? Or
to be honest, it was a struggle at the start. No one knew about accountability when I had my first lot of guys coming in, and it was me trying to keep them accountable, and then them looking at me like sideways and stuff like that. But now we've got a bit of a culture about the program. Like when guys come in, straight away all the brothers keep each other accountable. Accountability is a big part of this program. You know, we used to running our own shows out there, and look where it's got us. It's not always easy. But when I see the results of some of the stories that come out of this, and guys breaking free from addictions and being reunited with their families, that's what makes it all worth it. You know, all I can say is praise the Lord every day. I thank Him for getting me free from that world, so that I could, I believe that God didn't pull me out of that dark place for me to come back to New Zealand, sit on the couch, go back to scaffolding, and just turn up to church on a Sunday. Man, if you got the ability to come back and you can help people and show them which doors to take as well, I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, very true, brother. At the end of the day, God would just prefer it if we just stuck from Him from day dot, you know what I mean? But He doesn't waste the hurt, you know what I mean? If you want to walk that path, he never wastes the hurt, he always wants us to go back into Egypt, you know what I mean? As free men, you know what I mean, and preach to the slaves, and preach redemption and preach freedom, because walking out of prison isn't the end of prison, unfortunately, because then you got the mental prison, you know what I mean, that you get stuck in, bro, and that's even more darker, that's even more of a trap than actually being physically confined. And it's just like me, bro, when people ask for my advice, which I get a lot, of advice and things like that, and I'm just like, I just have one answer for it all, man, and it's always just Jesus, man, you know what I mean? It's my only answer, really, brother. It's just I can't, it's the answer to everything, man, and there's definitely a revival happening. I've just been being connected with so many brothers like yourself, man, across the motu, who are just battling, you know what I mean, and fighting to do what you're doing and things like that. Like, what's the future looking like, bro, for Victory House? Are you guys looking at opening up other houses, or?
That is the bigger picture, for us to open another house, we need program leaders, and the best kind of leaders are leaders that have walked the walk. Like, for my house, for me to have house supervisors, I'd much prefer a house supervisor that's been through the program, that knows all the scams, knows all the talk and everything, that's straight up, because this is a hard love program,
I mean, before we do wrap it up, brother, is there any other messages that you would like to get across, or any messages for people who were in similar situations, man?
Yeah, man. Don't be shy to speak up, and nothing changes if nothing changes, and there is help out there, and you'll never know if you never try. So give it a go.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not weak to speak, man. And another thing I always say, man, is with the faith, man, and things like that, I mean, you've got nothing to lose there, you know what I mean, man? If you're in that space of you've got nothing, or you've just walked out of jail, or you've just gotten deported, I mean, it costs nothing, man, to read the Bible and pray, and mate, you've got nothing to lose and absolutely everything to gain: eternal life. You know what I mean?
He is. Right? I've had people in the past saying, "Oh, but that's not the only way." I go, "It might not be the only way for you, but I've tried every other way. I've tried doing it this way, that way, and this is what works for me. And Jesus is the key." Yeah, man.
Yeah, 100%. Well, look, brother, well, thanks again for taking the time of sharing your story, man. Really appreciate it. And man, I'll definitely holler at you, brother, if I'm ever up north, man, and we'll go for a coffee, and we'll catch up, bro. We'll go for a dive.
Yeah, for sure, bro, for sure.
All right, thanks, brother. All right, God bless, man. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, brother.